Hi everybody, Rechief here, and welcome back to yet another exciting episode of Let's Play Ace Attorney Investigations, Miles Edgeworth, Prosecutor's Path, episodes 1 through 5 beta. Last time, we arrived at a point in our discussion where we needed to prove what the true identity of the monster is. And that's the stupidest way that I've opened an episode ever. I'm sorry. I've had a headache for about 6 hours now, and it hasn't gone away, so I might be a little out of it during this episode, but we're going to press on anyway. Let's go. We don't have much choice. Let's see what we can do. Isn't there something y'all ain't telling us about the monster? Nicole! Ask him. Ask him right now. Please settle down. Regarding the true identity of that monster, I already know what it is. What'd you say? That's right. The video John recorded provided the hint that I needed. Oh, it did? We better have a look at that video. Here we are. Huh. The video that John recorded? Ooh. Well, let's keep going and hopefully we'll get a hint. What you talking about? Ms. Nichols saw Gordy when she went to check up on John's practice. At that time, she mistook something for Gordy. The monster can be seen in this photograph. Oh, you know what? I bet it's like the arm that the camera is on, like on the left side of the screen. I bet that's what it is, and it was just that's why the recording provided the hint that he needed, because look at this perspective. Consider where the camera would have to be on the set in order for it to record John where he's standing, right? It would have to be in that same position where Penny thinks she saw Gordy. So that's why. It was moved and kind of obscured in shadow in such a way that she couldn't tell what it was, and she thought he was talking to Gordy. What? Ain't that just some plain old souvenir photo? Y'all don't really think you can pull the wool over the eyes of a pro like me, do ya? What did Miss Nichols really see that she mistook for Gordy? She saw this thing. Naturally. Sorry. Naturally, Gordy's true identity was this camera crane. What? The video John recorded was shot from fairly high up. A shot from this position would be impossible without a camera crane. But there ain't no way Ms. Nichols would mistake a camera crane for Gordy. I wonder about that. Ms. Nichols. Yes. Earlier you said the prescription for your glasses didn't match your eyesight anymore, correct? Yes. Lately it seems like my eyesight has suddenly gotten a lot worse. So would you say that you weren't able to see Gordy very clearly in the dark? That's right. Its silhouette was all I could make out. But remember what Ms. Nichols said. And I quote, its skin was really scaly, almost like a reptile. Camera cranes ain't got no flesh on them, let alone skin. It's just a bare steel frame. That is certainly true, at least in the case of this photo. However, last night it did have skin. Why? Y'all just doing whatever you can to get in the way of our big scoop, ain't you? That was not my intention. But since I've come this far, it's time to put an end to your nonsense. Gordy's skin is right here before our very eyes. This is the skin of Gordy that Ms. Nichols saw. Oh. As Ms. Nichols stated in her testimony earlier, it looked like it was going to rain last night. While it never actually rained, John still covered the camera crane with a rainproof sheet, which to Ms. Nichols looked like a monster's skin. What? You gotta be kidding me. Isn't that right, John? Man, you saw through it all. Not bad, old man. Unfortunately, the Gordy that Ms. Nichols saw was nothing more than an illusion. Not again. Looks like my dream has shriveled up and died once again. I don't understand why she didn't just report on the evidence auction. She's the only reporter who would have been covering that. She could have run with that and become legit. But I guess that's just not in her character. Mentor. Seems like things have finally settled down. I really thought the boy was hiding something from me. Guess I had it all wrong.
Now that we've figured out the true form of the monster, everyone seems refreshed.
Actually, there's two people here who are totally bummed out.
Agent Lang! The report is in, sir. We've got the results of President Huang's autopsy. Good. Show it to me. Contusions and bone fractures found across the body resulting from tremendous pressure. So, this was the cause of death. In other words, he was crushed to death.
I thought as much. Crime scene notes updated in my organizer.
The yellow stain on his chest is currently under investigation. But it seems that gunpowder residue was found on his right hand.
Sunflower residue? I didn't know the president was into gardening. No, gunpowder residue. Traces of it are left behind when a gun is fired. Since it has been found on his right hand, it's possible that the president fired a gun. A gun, huh? But we didn't find any guns when we investigated this area. Unexplained gunpowder residue. I'll have to look over the autopsy report later. Or right now. Oh, I guess this is crime scene notes, but I wonder, yeah, this is basically the autopsy report. Pressure, okay. So no information in there that we didn't already know or like weren't just informed of. Okay. Now then, Agent Lang, it seems we have our answer. The president did not die from falling off the roof of the Grand Tower. Rather, he died from being crushed under Mozilla's head. I guess if he'd fallen off the Grand Tower, he would be, like, his body would be destroyed. So this does make a little more sense. In that way that things in Ace Attorney games make sense.
I can't deny it. Looks like your logic was right after all.
This means the suspicions surrounding Miss Courtney should be cleared up, right? Yes. Not only the cause of death, but the time of death proves her innocence as well. Judge Courtney met with the president 2 nights ago. However, according to the autopsy report, the time of death was around 11 p.m. last night. Mozilla's head also fell last night. It matches up perfectly. That's a relief.
Isn't it a bit too early to be relieved?
Agent Lang.
The president died after being crushed by the Mozilla's head. That I will admit. But the problem is, who was responsible for the falling head?
Mozilla's head fell last night. And last night, the one who was at the film lot was... What are you saying? Surely you're not implying...
That's right. You killed him, didn't you? John Marsh!
That's not a good expression to have on your face when someone accuses you of murder. Why is his milk sweating? That's gross.
That pup is hiding something. He was at the scene where the body was discovered last night. He also saw the footprints. And despite that, he still claims to know absolutely nothing about the incident. Isn't that a bit too convenient?
These footprint-shaped holes have not been proven to be related to the case. Just because he saw holes doesn't necessarily mean that he's involved in that incident.
You sure about that? Take a look at the pup's face. And his milk. Even his milk is sweating. That's disgusting. He looks pretty shaken up to me.
It looks like he hit the mark, but John doesn't want to talk about it.
If he doesn't feel like talking, then I have an idea of my own. Let's check the tape.
Agent Lang, what is your intention?
The police have a device that lets you analyze the video footage up close and personal.
Agent Lang, you would suspect John enough to go that far. As long as John's lips are sealed, this may be the only way for us to get closer to the truth. Detective Gumshoe, if I'm not mistaken, you have that device with you, correct?
Mr. Analysis is ready to go, sir. Now we're talking.
Prosecutor Edgeworth, would you please perform the video analysis for us? She wants me to do it. Who knows what kind of faults that Wolfman will find in it. This isn't exactly my strong suit, but I suppose I have no choice. Are there any new clues shown on the video? I don't think so, right? Oh, duh, we have to zoom. I see. Enhance. Okay, nothing there. Oh, we can actually read what that says. Reaver. I don't know that that's going to be super important, though. Oh! What the fuck? Who is that? Who is that? Wait. Okay, nothing in here. I just want to check for posterity, but who the fuck is that? Is that President Huang? I thought he wasn't really buff. Like in real life. This is... What's the matter? I want to see too. Oh, you know what? Maybe it's whoops, sorry, wrong guy. Where is he? Maybe it's Will Powers. That'd be kind of cool if he got more deeply involved in this investigation. Huh? Ah!
Hey, what's wrong? Show it to me.
Prosecutor Edgeworth, I request you submit the evidence to the court. Please take a look at the top right corner of the zoomed-in video.
This person is... The president!
Okay, it is the president. Impossible. Huh? No way.
It seems we've finally found it at last. The evidence that points to the true killer.
This video places John at a major disadvantage. You're wrong. That's not right. I didn't know anything about this.
That's not gonna cut it. It's clear that you and the victim were together at the same place where his body was later found. John Marsh, there's no doubt you killed the president.
No, this can't be. Why? Why would you... John, please don't tell me. Did you really kill the president? Come on, Mom, calm down. I'm Edgeworth. I'll get your son, or whatever, through this whole thing. Mr. Edgeworth, is this really decisive evidence?
Mr. Prosecutor, looks like even you can't object to this. That pup said he didn't know anything, right? And yet the president's right here in the video.
John, what are you hiding? John, please tell us the truth. The truth is, it's all my fault. Uh-oh. John Marsh, what did you do? Mozilla's head falling was all my fault. Ooh. While I was setting up the equipment on the roof, I used the heater. After that, I went down to practice, but I forgot to turn it off. Then my mom called me, so I left the film lot. When I came back to the lot after the phone call was over, Mozilla's head that was on the roof had fallen. And right next to it was the president, lying dead on the ground. Uh-oh. How can that be? I see. There were indeed traces that something had caught fire on the rooftop. It was just a small fire, so I was able to put it out by myself. So, the president's death was John's fault?
But wouldn't that make this an accident, sir?
And then, what did you do with the fallen head? I took it apart, brought the pieces up to the roof, and put it back together.
So, you put out the fire, and you even put the fallen head back on the roof. Which means you were hiding evidence. We can't be having that, you naughty little pup.
I didn't do it on purpose. I really did just forget to turn off the heater. When the legs broke, the stand would have tilted. If Mozilla's head was on top of the stand, it would have fallen off. So the head fell down because of the fire. Yes, and if that's the case, I also have a pretty good idea of what caused the fire. There's a flammable can next to the heater. It seems someone is lacking in safety awareness.
Was it really just an accident? If that's the truth, then what was the president doing here?
I don't know. There was no one else around while I was there.
You expect me to believe that? The president wouldn't have just come to a place like this without a reason, you know.
Indeed, the president's reason for coming here is still a huge mystery. 2 nights ago, he met with Judge Courtney on the roof of the Grand Tower. And last night, he was here at the film lot. Did he meet with John? I'll have to listen to John's testimony very carefully. Let's go. While I was setting up the equipment on the roof, I used the heater. John, you are still young. I know it can get a little cold in early spring, but you shouldn't have to resort to a heater. It is precisely because he is young that he must make sure to take good care of himself. However, while it can get a bit chilly during this time of year, I wouldn't necessarily say... Hold it, old man. Is this really the right time to be having this argument? Yeah, he's completely right. John, you did well to get the better of Mr. Edgeworth, but please mind your language. Let's not forget that he got the better of you too, Your Honor. I know, Mom. So, where was I? That was a good press. After that, I went down to practice, but forgot to turn it off. You forgot to turn off the heater? You didn't check it before leaving the roof? I meant to turn it off, but I was too focused on practicing, so... And come on! Everyone forgets stuff like that sometimes. Yeah, I gotcha. I forget small things like that all the time, too. Like sometimes, I'll forget to turn off the AC, or the lights in Mr. Edgeworth's office. Or the lights in Mr. Edgeworth's office. Or I'll jump off the ladder from his bookshelves. Or I'll jump off the ladder for his bookshelves, or leave prank calls on his answering machine. But forgetting to turn off the heater is really dangerous, so you've got to be careful. Some of those things had nothing to do with... Some of those things had nothing to do with forgetfulness. John, please continue. Well, it looks like you've got it rough too, old man. Well, back to my story. Then my mom called me, so I left the film lot. It was late at night at the film lot, and not a single member of the film crew was around. So then, why did you have to leave the premises in order to answer the phone call? I totally forgot about the phone call thing, so I kind of panicked. If I didn't answer it fast, I would have been busted for leaving the hotel without permission. In that case, why didn't you just answer it here? Because I was rehearsing. All the cameras and mics were on. If I talked here, every last word I said to Mom would have been caught on camera. So he was embarrassed that the conversation with his mother would be recorded. Anyways, I stopped practicing for a bit and rushed out of the film lot. When I came back to the lot after the phone call was over... In the phone call, you lied and said you were at the hotel, correct? Why didn't you tell your mom that you were rehearsing? If I told her that, she would have called the hotel and made them send me a taxi or something. Of course I would have. A child alone on the streets at that time of night. What sort of parent would allow their child to be in such a dangerous situation? I guess kids just don't understand how their parents feel. It goes both ways, Mr. Edgeworth. Indeed. Now then, John, please tell us about what happened after the phone call. Huh? Oh, yeah, of course. When the call was finished and I came back here, I was waiting for them to drop a parents just don't understand reference that whole time, and they never did. Good self-restraint, translators. Mozilla's head that was on the roof had fallen. Oh, I didn't press his fucking thing. I was just gonna keep reading. Was there any indication that the head was about to fall? I don't know. I was focused on my rehearsal. So you forgot to turn off the heater, which led to a fire on the roof. I would think that you should have at least heard something. Heard something? Oh, I was wearing headphones, so... Headphones? Listening to the movie's soundtrack helps me get into the scene. I had it on full blast. That's why I didn't hear anything. And yet, you noticed your mother's incoming call? I had my phone on vibrate, old man. That's how I noticed. Anyways, the head had fallen. I don't know what vibrate is. A phone? Vibrate? I only call people using rotary telephones from the 1930s. Okay, let's keep going. And right next to it was the president, lying dead on the ground. What was the state of the body? I didn't get a good look, because it was dark. He's suddenly become as quiet as a mouse. I guess John doesn't really want to remember anything about the body. Is that the only reason why he's gone so quiet? Should I press him for more details? Yeah. You didn't get a good look. Then how did you know he was dead? Well... He's clearly shaken. He must be hiding something. Wouldn't you normally call for help if you see someone collapsed on the ground? However, you did nothing of the sort. But he was already dead. Is that so? You seem quite certain that the president was already dead. Now, is there a reason for that, I wonder? The guy was collapsed on the ground, and right next to him was the fallen monster's head. I'm not stupid. It wasn't hard to imagine what had happened. You can imagine whatever you want, but there was no way for you to know he was dead. You actually checked to make sure the president was dead, didn't you? Yeah, that's right. I was scared, but I got up close to the body and checked to see if he was breathing. I thought as much. However, why would he hide that? There must be a reason. Please tell me the state of the body at that time. At first, I didn't know he was dead. I would have realized it sooner if there had been any blood. But there wasn't a single drop, and his clothes were completely spotless. Either way, he wasn't breathing. That's how I knew he was already dead. Would you please append those statements to your testimony? I didn't know right away that he was dead. There was no blood and his clothes were Oh, I see. His clothes were spotless. That doesn't jive with the crime scene notes because he's got yellow stuff all over his clothes. I got really nervous. And then I peed all over his chest. Oh, no. I can't believe that this is what happened. Okay. That's not what happened, but let's find out what did happen. His clothes were spotless. Yeah, that's right. You got a problem with it, old man? John, it is painfully obvious that you are desperately trying to hide something from me. What are you going on about? I'm not hiding anything. You are hiding something about this yellow stain on the president's clothes, correct? Why did you leave it entirely out of your testimony? The fact that you made no mention of it only serves to cast more suspicion on yourself. That's because... I hope you have a convincing explanation. Judge Courtney. Allow me to explain. How? Why are you... The yellow stain left on the president's chest is almost certainly lion lily pollen. Oh, okay.
Lion lily.
When I met with the president on the roof of the Grand Tower 2 nights ago, I brought him a bouquet of lion lilies. Lion lilies are beautiful flowers with stunning golden petals. Some of the pollen from the lilies must have gotten on the president's suit. Huh? But... I didn't see any lilies in the security footage, though. They were simply obscured by the president's body. Oh, so I see. She's clasping them in her hands. Why did you bring a bouquet? I cannot say.
Hey. You're keeping way too many secrets. You won't tell us why you met with the president, or the reason you brought him flowers.
My apologies. However, I did give him the bouquet. That much is true. But when the president's body was discovered, we didn't find any flowers. I honestly don't know how that could be.
Ha! Hey, Ms. Judge. All your answers have been too vague. You can't say this, and you don't know that. Do you accept flimsy testimony like that in your trials?
Hey, cut it out. John, I threw the flowers away. You threw them away? So there were flowers near the body when you found it? Yeah, that's right. They were right on top of the president's body. They had been crushed as flat as pancakes, though. Ah, I see. So the flowers were squashed by Mozilla's head, too. And a large amount of pollen got stuck to the president's suit. That seems to be the gist of it. However, why did you go out of your way to dispose of the flowers? No reason. Alright, John. So John's not going to tell us anything either. I guess mother and son both have a lot of secrets, huh? That is not true. At the very least, I can tell you why John threw away those flowers. Huh? John, you saw me leaving the house with those flowers in hand, did you not? Ah, I get it. John saw the flowers and thought of his mom. He threw them away in order to protect Judge Courtney from being suspected. That's not true. You're all wrong. That was his worst lie yet. Bouquet data jotted down in my organizer. Crime scene notes updated in my organizer. I often decorate our house with those flowers. The bouquet must have reminded him of me.
So the pup just happens to find the flowers from his mother's bouquet on top of the body. That's why he threw them away and kept silent about the body. Ha! That's a tidy little story if I've ever heard one.
And what's wrong with that? I suppose you prefer untidy, messy stories, Agent Lang? I I suppose you prefer untidy, messy stories, Agent Lang?
Don't tell me you've forgotten already, Missy. The pup confessed that he caused the monster's head to fall last night.
Oh, that's true, but...
He's currently the only suspect in the president's murder.
It is true that there are many reasons to suspect John. However, there is someone other than John who is far more suspicious.
What did you say?
John himself was kidnapped by that very person not too long ago.
And we rescued him from the refrigerated warehouse near the harbor, pal. A refrigerated warehouse. That's right, pal. The refrigeration wasn't turned on, so he wasn't about to freeze to death. But if he hadn't yelled out for help, we would have never found him.
Once the sleeping drugs wore off, he was finally able to call out for help. Sleeping drugs. If I recall correctly, when you were kidnapped... That's right. There was a bottle lying on the floor of the refrigerated warehouse. I think it was the same thing that was used on me not long ago. That sleepy zzz stuff. It's super powerful. Sleeping drugs data jotted down in my organizer. How about it, Agent Lang? John is clearly a victim. There is a mastermind at work behind the scenes of this case.
I don't know anything about this so-called mastermind. You say they were here last night.
I still don't know for sure yet.
Ha! It's not like you to be so vague, Mr. Prosecutor.
Indeed, I still don't have any evidence that it ties the mastermind to this murder. Is there someone else? Is there anyone besides John who had the opportunity to murder the president? That's it.
As I thought. In the end, that pup is our only suspect.
Isn't there one more suspect, Agent Lang?
What's this?
Didn't we prove it earlier? Last night, there was one more person here.
Blaze the Best. You're saying he's the one who did it?
Last night, John was not alone. Blaze the Best was here too. Shouldn't we consider him to be a new suspect?
Blaze the Best killed the president?
It's entirely possible.
Blaze the Best. It can't be. The same guy from 12 years ago.
12 years ago? That keeps popping up.
Well, a lot has changed. It all happened over 12 years ago. Back then, he and my father were close friends and our clan protected the president's life.
Lang, don't tell me you're the one from 12 years ago.
You got it. Ain't this nice? Now you're finally going to prison where you belong. 12 years is a long time coming for a suspended sentence. Don't you agree?
Agent Lang, what happened 12 years ago?
Nothing that concerns you.
On the contrary, it might just have some sort of connection with this case.
And I suppose you have some proof, Mr. Prosecutor? Show me evidence that there's a connection between this case and the one 12 years ago.
Evidence, you say?
If you don't have evidence, then there's no point in talking about it.
Is there any evidence that connects this case with what happened 12 years ago? So nothing in there about it. No, that's from 18 years ago, so probably not in here. Yeah, no. Although now that I'm looking at that, I'm wondering if the whereabouts of Dover's or Gustavia's sons, I wonder if those are going to come up in this case, since we still have this thing. There's a connection between Natalie and Dogan. Dogan's his partner until no. Actually, Natalie all along. That's proven enough. Tomorrow we should interrogate him in the warden's office. He's one of Dogan's henchmen. That thing you laid to rest in front of the flower bed 12 years ago, you simply must retrieve it. This is a report written by Patricia Rowland to Blaze de Best regarding Knightley. Please read this part here.
That thing he laid to rest near the flower bed 12 years ago.
That's not all. Take a look at this as well. This letter was sent to Jill Crane, who was murdered 2 days ago. Whoops, should have checked that too. Although the sender is currently unknown, here it is written as follows. Please get revenge for 12 years ago.
What? 12 years ago?
Agent Lang, something big is happening here. Jill Crane's murder 2 days ago, and now the President's murder today. There has to be some connection there. And the key to solving it lies in what happened 12 years ago, does it not?
You're asking me to reopen the old wounds of the Lang clan.
Agent Lang, I beg of you. Who was that just now? Oh, it's the boys.
You guys, what are you doing here?
Oh, but we're going to find out what they're doing here next time because we went way over time and I didn't notice. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Next time, we find out what you guys are all doing here. Bye.